Trindade Island incident is one of ufology's most famous photographic cases because of its circumstances and the official interest it received from Brazilian authorities. In the Open Minds archives, which were passed on by Lt Col Wendell Stevens, there are several photographs and other items that document this event. These photos all have this APRO copyright stamp on the back, and this envelope looks as if it was what the original images were sent in. Well-known civilian photographer Almiro Barauna took the pictures. He took the photos while on board the Brazilian Navy training ship Almirante Saldanha, which was conducting research for the International Geophysical Year at the island of Trindade in the South Atlantic Ocean. Many officers, sailors, and civilians on the ship confirmed the sighting of a UFO, and while the Navy investigated this case, it was initially kept secret. But when the dossier reached Brazil's President Juscelino Kubitschek, he released it to the press, and the photos made worldwide headlines. Barauna told Brazilian reporters he used a Rolleiflex 2.8 camera Model E, set at speed 125 with an aperture at f8, and added that he took the first two shots before the object disappeared behind Desejado Peak. The UFO then reappeared, bigger in size and flying in the opposite direction, which is when he took the third photo. Skeptics have suggested for years that Barauna, who is considered a highly skilled photographer, hoaxed the pictures. In August of 2010, a second-hand confession by a friend of Barauna, an ad agency career woman called Amelia Betancourt, said in a program entitled Fantástico, broadcast on the Global TV network, quote, "He took 2 cooking tablespoons, joined them, and made a spaceship, using his home refrigerator as the backdrop. He photographed the object on the refrigerator door with the perfect lighting. He laughed about it," end quote. There are a couple of problems with her statement. One is whether the 2 spoons would look like the Saturn-shaped object in the Trindade photos, a point raised by optical physicist Dr. Bruce Maccabee, who has long studied this case. The other is to the reference to, quote, his home refrigerator as a backdrop, end quote. Barauna could not have used his home refrigerator for the simple reason that he was not home but on the Navy ship Almirante Saldanha. There is a probable explanation for this alleged confession that was also mentioned by Maccabee. Barauna wrote an article on how to hoax UFO photos that was published in the Brazilian magazine Mundo Ilustrado in 1954, and which could have led to a confession about what the old man told his friend and his niece. Even if it was the case that he had hoaxed this, it would not explain the visual testimony of dozens of qualified witnesses. This was precisely one of the points made in a Brazilian naval report which stated, quote, "Finally, the existence of personal testimonies and of a photographer, of some value given to the circumstances involved, permit the admission that there are indications of the existence of the UFO," end quote. In the Open Minds archives, there is an old document in Portuguese from Barauna himself. It is a typewritten statement dated January 30th, 1967, 9 years after the incident, signed by Barauna, and includes a little sketch of a ship. Here is some of the translation. On January 16, 1958, the Brazilian War Navy school ship Almirante Saldanha was docked at a cove on Trindade Island, about 800 miles from the coast of Espírito Santo. It was around 11 a.m., clear weather. The crew was getting ready to return to Rio de Janeiro when suddenly a group of people located at the stern of the ship, amongst them the retired Brazilian Air Force Captain Aviator Jose Viegas, alerted everyone. Instantly, everybody that was at the deck of the ship, around 50 people, started looking at a strange saucer-shaped silvery object which moved from the sea towards the island. The object did not emit any noise. It was luminous and shifted sometimes fast, then slow, moved up and down smoothly, and when speeding, it left a phosphorescent white trail that would fade away very quickly. In its trajectory, the object disappeared from behind the hill, Pico Desejado, and when everybody expected that it was going to appear on the opposite side of the hill, it reappeared at the same direction, stopped for a few seconds, and then it disappeared again. The document goes on to describe how Barauna took the pictures of the object, and it is signed and dated